Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know Show. I'm Jim McPhee, and right there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, know-it-alls? Welcome back again to talk some more football with you guys. We love to hear from you guys down in the comment section down below. Would be much appreciated. Keep the show going. Keep it lively. We need to hear from you guys. Get your opinions. Also, you know what I mean? Let's just see where your head's at. You know what I mean? We're your therapists for this week. If you want to further support the show, we do encourage you to head over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button while you're there, hit the thumbs up, and share alike. It does help our show. It helps keep the roof over our heads. You know, we got to pay the bills somehow, so we got to rely on you guys. We need a bigger following, and we need you guys to help us out here. Jim, once again, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season, and we've been kind of like on top of this whole playoff run to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're getting some different insight on some quarterbacks that typically your starting quarterbacks don't become available too often, but with terrible gameplay this season from these few quarterbacks, we got to talk about where they might end up next season. So without further ado, Jim, we got to talk about some of these quarterbacks that are going to be available. Tua, now done in Miami. And honestly, I have to be honest about this. I didn't see this one coming. I understand the writing was technically on the wall for Tua, at least for this season. Like, yeah, they weren't going nowhere. He was playing terribly, at least for the majority of the season. And now we get word that not only is he demoted, not once, not twice, he's the emergency quarterback going forward. Just an emergency guy, never really going to play. And then on top of that, by the end of the season, he's getting released. The Dolphins are moving on from him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting because this is what I think the worst scenario that the Dolphins were looking at when they looked at his best season that he had of his career, his first real healthy season. We discussed things like this. Hey, what are they going to invest in? What kind of money is this deal going to be? Will they invest in him because of the concussion situations? Because of the play was just kind of, okay, pretty good. That one happened to be kind of that flash in the pan, and now they invested the money, they invested the time, and now after another concussion last year, and this year concussion free, but not playing as well. And I don't think his stats are completely terrible. I mean, 67.7% completion percentage, anybody would take for any team, and 20 touchdowns to 15. It's not very good, but we've seen worse in average. And that's the thing. The money doesn't play along with what they're doing. And the fact that Mike McDaniel is coaching for his job right now, even though they're saying he's safe, that's fine. But this is a regime, if you remember, back in October, because of the lack of playing and the competition and what was out there, they fired their GM, Chris Grier. So Grier, longtime GM for them since 2016, I think. And he's the one that drafted Tua. He drafted Jalen Waddle. He brought in Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's now piece him out. Tua looks like garbage. They invested the money. He's the one that worked that deal with them. I know his owner has to sign off on it, but this is a clear sign to me that Mike McDaniel is kind of like, dude, This guy ain't taking me down anymore. I'm
It's
done with
time to
this. They're
go.
looking for a new GM. This new GM is probably done anyways. We got to make the move because I got to make some moves to save me right now. Let's see what happens with this Quinn Ewers and kind of what Zach Wilson has in the tank.
We already know what Quinn Ewers is. Like, this guy is not ready to be an NFL quarterback. We've seen glimpses of it when he does get when Tua has left the games momentarily, and he comes in. He looks like a deer in the headlights in the NFL. He is not fully prepared or ready to take that leap from college to pro. It's that simple. And I know he's getting thrown to the wolves, so to speak, because even though he may not be ready, it's time to put up or shut up. And this is a late round pick. This is a guy who isn't really expected to be the future. A lot of people had high hopes for him coming out of Texas, thinking that maybe he could curb that learning curve and come into the NFL, learn underneath a guy like Tua, and then eventually take over. But I gotta tell you, this kid has really good talent in college. Like, he was really, really good, accurate, smart with the football, didn't make too many mistakes. But you're playing with the big boys. It's that simple. And even though we've had limited, snaps with him to see him on the football field, he looks like he's lost. And I fear that putting him now just kind of saying, okay, you're the starter going forward. Zach Wilson is going to be the
Mhm.
backup, and we all know that that guy's had numerous opportunities to be a starter and has failed
Mhm.
consistently. I just don't know. I don't think this is the right move. I understand they're gonna move on from Tua at the end of the year, but man, I feel bad for Quinn Ewers because the kid is really not that ready.
No.
He's not ready for this. And this might damage Quinn to the point where, like, there's no point in having him on the roster. And I wonder if he's going to end up being damaged goods by the end of the year, even though it's a few weeks. It's not setting a good precedent for the future for next year. So this is a team that is much in line with needing, not wanting, but needing a quarterback now. Now that they've made that decision to move on, they're going to release Tua at the end of the year, but now they went from having a starter to now not having anything, and they got to figure out a way to get either a veteran via free agency or trade, or you go into the draft and you roll the dice and take that risk there.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough pill to swallow though on this whole situation when it's all said and done though. And it's kind of funny because Mike McDaniel, it's not like he's like, we're going to try these guys out, see what they are. And, I'm just moving on from Tua. He actually gave that fake excuse like, yeah, I think Quinn's going to give us a better chance to win in this week. So that's why he's going to go in. It's like, what? Like, I don't think that's
Mhm.
really true. I still think if you have Tua out there and you have those other guys, I still believe in Tua that he gives you a better chance to win. So stop blowing
Yeah,
smoke up my ass.
that
Give me a
was
real answer, right? Just tell us what you're
exactly.
doing. You know what I mean? And that's what's funny with
Did
Mike
you
McDaniel. He's
watch?
so awkward in these press conferences because I think he's actively just trying to come up with an excuse like he didn't have anything planned. Like when you do things like this,
Didn't
you have
it
to
seem
have
like
like
that
a
though?
speech lined up.
Didn't it seem like it? Like, it seemed like he was, grasping at the air for new
Yeah. Yeah.
sentences to put together, new
Hmm.
excuses to
Hmm.
put together. This is a coach where I never thought this guy's job was on the line anyway, but now that they've made the decision, I don't know if it was a group decision, like between the front office and the owner and the head coach saying, "Yeah, we're not gonna go any farther than probably just be an average team as long as Tua is our quarterback. Not gonna get over the hump, so let's just make the change now." Or was it more of, like, from up
Hmm.
top? Was it just like they're fed up with him to the point where, like, it didn't matter what McDaniel said, it was just like, "Hey, no, we gotta get rid of this guy. He's not gonna do anything special for us." So, this Miami team, in a sense
Hmm.
now, in desperation, and I hate to say it that way, but this team has been struggling on defense. This team now needs more weapons because you have, with the announcement of Tua being going to be released at the end of the year, Tyreek Hill went to Twitter, as he always does, and made the announcement that he is going to be leaving Miami. He's not staying around. Like, even after his surgery, he's not looking to resign. So, and we kind of alluded to that. We kind of expected that from
Yeah.
Tyreek, but now it
Well, I
seems to
think
be
now that it's
official.
like it's funny because we
From the
were
man
saying that
himself.
he wasn't down with Tua, what Tua's doing, but he's saying now that even Tua's not there, he's like, "Yo, I'm definitely out. Peace. See you later." We got Dan in the
Yeah.
house out there tonight. He's a know-it-all.
Hashtag know-it-alls.
He's spewing all kinds of crap at us. He's hating on Miami Dolphins again. There he is. About
Well, of course he's going to.
It's
It's
a
a
division
division
rival,
rival.
Buffalo Bills fan.
I mean, if you want to call him
He goes,
that.
but so Quinn will be bad, just like the Patriots were supposed to beat Buffalo. This guy, it's funny.
Yeah, Quinn
they
will be
have a
bad.
good week, and this guy is like all over it. You know what I mean? But they have a bad week, and he's crickets all over. So it's kind of funny. But I'm not
Yeah.
even knocking the Bills.
I've
Everybody
seen
knows the
enough
Bills
from him in
are
college.
a good team, and everybody knows who Josh Allen is. I mean, we can't knock him for that, and that's why we didn't even do the bet because there's easy potential that the Bills were going to come out of that one with a win. They probably shouldn't have in that game if the Patriots took care of business. Because again, you have a lead like that, you
Right.
gotta lock that in. You know how to finish.
You got to
And I
hold
know
on to
that
that.
the coach is going to have some words to be said at the meetings afterwards. After that, so I don't think we'll see that happen again. But with Miami, what I'm saying is with the pill to swallow too is like you're talking about cutting this guy after he's only like a year and a half into this deal. It was a 4-year deal, $212 million, $167 million of it guaranteed. And you're asking a new general manager to come in to try and fix the ship and say, yep, I'm going to come in, I'm going to release that guy. Or Champ Kelly, who's the interim GM right now, is unless he's talking to the owner and they've had full, discussions about this, like you just said, it's a full agreement. Like, hey, we've got to move on here. And I'm okay with biting that bullet, swallowing that pill. You know what I mean? Because either you're tied to him, you're going to hang on to him, much like what the Falcons are doing with Kirk Cousins, but that move is played out for the Falcons. Keeping Kirk Cousins as the backup and seeing what he's doing, and kind of they are out right now, but I think if you had somebody else other than Kirk Cousins, they were definitely going to be out. At least Kirk Cousins made it close, gave them an opportunity. It's not his fault that the defense failed him. It's not his fault that some of the wide receivers weren't making plays this particular week. Kyle Pitts was an animal, but I think having Tua, as your backup could be a good situation for them, but at the cost, it's crazy. So it's tough to ask a new GM to come in if you're interviewing, say, Louis Riddick or whoever else might come in here to try and take this job. Say, okay, I'm going to come in here, first item of business, I'm going to release Tua Tagovailoa, and you guys are going to have this dead money.
And it's a large amount too. So when they do make this decision and make it official that he's released, it's going to be in the ballpark of like $66 million that is owed to Tua. A hefty bill tab to pay, but obviously the Dolphins have seen know enough about him to make this decision. And honestly, I think it's the better decision, to be honest, because if you don't have conviction in the quarterback that's on the roster and possibly winning a Super Bowl, there's no point in keeping him. Like, it's that simple. I understand teams do put band-aids on the position and bring a guy in for a year or two, and while they still try to find that future guy, but the Dolphins have had this guy play for them for years. And have they ever made it to the Super Bowl? No. And in fact, Tua has had really bad games against high-end competition when it matters the most, whether it be trying to get into the playoffs or even if you made the playoffs, they're one and done. So I feel like as an organization, they are fed up. It's time to move on from Tua. It's time to make some major changes, shake it up a little bit, and see if they can get the right guy to run this organization as a GM, and also, kind of have a good relationship with Mr. McDaniels there in Florida. So I think that going forward, it's going to be interesting this offseason to see how they approach the
Yeah,
quarterback
yeah, it's
position.
clear that, what he said throughout the year too, that he was ready to make this move. So, yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. Dan, or shout out to Mike Tackett out there, like I said, tank for Tua. Yeah, we remember that, right?
Yep.
Dan says they make so much revenue. It's a drop in the bucket, but the revenue doesn't go to the cap though. That has nothing to do with
It's
salary
not.
cap. So
Yeah.
that's nothing. That
Yeah,
doesn't mean
it's
anything.
not, it has
Yeah,
nothing to do with
yeah,
the money that they
no,
make overall in terms of
mm-mm.
profit and stuff. It's more
Yeah,
about the salary cap. It's going to not necessarily kill them, but at the same time, they're gonna have to make some financial decisions, whether it be reworking contracts to get, less salary put against the cap so that way they can lower the cap and then they can afford more free agents if they want.
you gotta get a
So
GM in there that
it's
hits
more
on
of a
the
salary
draft
cap
picks.
issue.
Basically, take what you have with what you've done in your trades this year too, and try and do well in the draft. Get young rookies that can produce for you on a smaller pay scale. That's it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So that's the bottom line for what else we got. Oops, sorry, did I just take that one off there? Tua has a king's ransom in Miami, much similar to how Watson does in Cleveland.
No, not
No.
similar.
Yeah, that one was
Not similar
funny.
at all.
Nah, Watson really
Watson
got him.
was Watson literally went to the organization, found the safe, stole the safe, and left Houston.
Mhm.
And they're still trying to figure out how they can stop paying him, but with all those guarantees,
Yeah,
it's not going to happen
yeah.
anytime soon. So, and that now the Cleveland is in the kind of the same boat. They gave him another huge deal, and it sounds like there's conflicting
There was
reports with him right
worse.
now. Some
Mhm.
people are saying that the Browns are going to plan on keeping him for the next
Mm,
season, maybe
yep.
even involve him in a quarterback competition, whatever you want to call it. And then there's other people saying in Cleveland that, oh no, they're looking to move on. It's over. They've made this decision. They're going to cut him. They're going to try to probably trade him first, but in the end, it might be another quarterback being released. Who knows?
Yeah, that one was just a bad one again on that was a shot in the dark, guaranteed, put all your
Mhm.
chips in the pot and, you're calling somebody's bluff, right? And then you're like, "You got it," and then you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
no, whoops. That's it, somebody called me out on it." You lost it all. And that's what that one was. This one's different. You invested in something that you thought was there, like, "Oh, he's got it around, he's turning it around,"
Yes.
and,
Right.
you got caught. It's a bigger scale Daniel Jones to me, if I can kind of look at it. Like Daniel Jones was like that for the Giants to an extent. Hey, had one good year, and they're like, here we go. We made the playoffs, gave him a good deal, and then all of a sudden you didn't see the same Daniel Jones afterwards. But you release him, here he is playing with the Colts, and he's playing pretty good. So is it something different now for Tua? He's going to make his money and
Mhm.
be gone, but can he be a starter for somebody else though? And somewhere to where like Dan saying, "Oh, he can't play in the cold, he can't do this." Does an
It's
indoor
going to be
place, yeah,
indoors,
you know what I mean? A dome team pick him up somewhere.
or it's going to be a warm weather climate
Mhm,
of some sort out west, down set. Like, well, he was in Miami, but that's the thing is you can't escape the cold though entirely. You can try to
mhm,
find a destination where you're not going to really see the cold too often, but when you start traveling to visiting teams, when you go to the northeast, or the north in general, where it's much colder during the winter times, you have to play. So it's gonna be I feel like Tua's going to be able to find a home, but it's not going to be anything special. Like, it's not going to lead him to, like, oh, he's gonna go to a team that may be a contender the following years or anything like that. It's gonna be to a team that is desperate for a quarterback that might want a veteran on the roster, maybe start the first year while they draft their quarterback, or maybe they already have a quarterback that they like, but they know that he needs further development. Maybe those guys bring him in um, to kind of help with the day to day operations of being a pro and teaching that younger quarterback. So there's a lot of. I feel like he's going to get another chance to start. I don't think he's going to be a career backup right away anyway, based on where he
mhm.
goes though, right? Like, it could be, we've seen this happen before where a guy has spent many years with one team, they decide to move on, or he decides to leave, whatever the case may be. He goes to another team, but he goes to be sitting behind a Jalen Hurts. He goes to be sitting behind a Jaden Daniels,
Yeah.
something of that nature, to where like, and if he's cool with that, I guess
Right.
great. Like you could ride into the sunset as a career backup the rest of your years. So we'll see how this develops, how this story moves, and where he might end up. Because honestly, I don't know too many teams that kind of look forward to having a quarterback, even though he is accurate at times, and he's made some big splash plays. But obviously the talent was there with
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Now it's going to be a different environment. Can he still make that kind of a little bit of an impact
Right.
for a team?
Yeah. And that's the question though, too, is if they do release the dead money and he go to be a QB2 somewhere else, or you just stick it around, you already paid the money. Why don't you just be your QB2 in case something happens? And then I haven't looked at the contract or even right now. And some of it, if there is another year down the road, kicking it down to where it is less of a blow rather than doing it even right now, just because we know injuries happen in this league. It's been ridiculous this year with the amount of injuries, especially on offensive line. But quarterbacks coming in and making
Mhm.
plays. Look at what Mac Jones has done for the 49ers. Look at what some of these other quarterbacks coming in. Jacoby Brissett here for the Arizona Cardinals. They haven't exactly turned into wins for them. He's playing well and kind of doing enough, I feel like, at times, even though not having some of his star players, because of injuries as well. So there is
Right.
something there for it, but like Dan's saying, why give it up to somebody else and cut your ties there when you can maybe just have it in house in case you might need it? But that also depends, I think, of
Here's the
trajectory of the
thing.
team. Do they see themselves as just retooling right now and making a run? And then if their quarterback goes down, all right, Tua could probably fill in a little bit here to keep us getting going here to make that playoff run still and keep it afloat. Um,
Here's the crazy thing is that his contract goes till
oh yeah, yeah.
2029.
It's fresh. It's
So
a fresh
if
contract.
you
You know what I'm saying? That's what's
it's
crazy,
fresh,
man.
man.
That's what it's so early into it. And for them just to say, tap out, that sounds to me more of a coaching decision. And now the front office has to
Mhm.
deal with it. That's what I think is interesting about it, and how how they don't have a GM. They have an interim GM right now. So it has ownership. Talk to Champ Kelly, and and they're going to work it out and figure something out here.
Mhm.
Or again, in the interviewing process, they're going to ask these guys, all right, our situation with Tua, what do you imagine that we do here? How's that for your interview question? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's going to be interesting, come to the end of the
So
season.
here's the thing with Tua's contract, right? So like no matter when they cut him, it could be pre June 1st, it could be post June 1st.
No
There's no
difference.
difference
Mhm.
on when they cut him. It is in 2025. If they cut him before the following year, they're it's insane. They're
And
53 million
over the
over
cap.
the cap. It'll be
Oh,
not
no,
over the cap. It'll be
against the
53
cap. Yeah,
million
yeah, yeah, yeah,
against the
yeah.
cap. Dead money
Oh,
92 million. So they are definitely going to be looking to get out of the contract. Now, if they were wanted to be smart, I wouldn't get rid of
mhm.
Tua. I'd keep him until
7. Yeah.
2027 because that's the only time where you can get out of the contract and actually save a little bit of money. You can actually save $40 million with a $13 million dead cap, which is definitely way more
Mhm.
appealing. Versus what it sounds like they're planning to do is they're planning to just outright just move on from him. And you know what? It's going to count
Mhm.
11 million against the cap. If they wait for the new league year, obviously that'll be after in March sometime, right before the free agency hits. They'll still be 11 million against their cap, which is obviously is way better than this league year. But I gotta say, it's a lot of financial money that you're giving up
Yeah,
just to move
yeah,
on from the guy when you really don't have an
yeah.
answer. Like it's to me, it makes the most sense, at least for the organization, um, to try to keep him until you get to 2027, and then you can really kind of save some more money
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
team. So
Exactly. It just makes more
we'll
sense.
see
We'll
how that
see.
all
We'll see what they
goes.
do, you know what I mean? But,
We'll see.
you know, I think that's a safer bet as well. I mean, I think to move on just like that. I mean, you can't be listening to some of the talking heads that are out there say, "Well, you got to do it now. You got to change now." Blah blah. I'm like, well, they don't have jobs, that entail making those decisions and things. So,
And
um,
the other part of this too is how's Tua feel about it?
oh yeah,
Obviously, he's going to be
Mhm.
aggravated. Obviously, he might not even want to play for
Yeah,
Miami now.
Mhm.
He might not even want to be on the team. So that's another part of it where to have a disgruntled player, like if he's really that butthurt over this, then you don't want that toxic element
Yeah,
in the locker room. A guy that's going to do nothing but
yeah.
talk bad about
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
organization.
Which he's been openly, says what's on his mind too, as well. That's what's kind of funny. Like him and Mike McDaniel together, just open minded about each other. But this one, after hearing the
Yeah.
news again, he says he's going to do anything to help the organization. So we'll see what that's going to go for. We've only got a couple weeks left over. So after the season's
Mhm.
over, we'll see what that entails and see if we hear about any other, discussions about moving on in what he's coming out of his camp. So, yeah, so that's
Yes,
interesting
sir.
stuff that just popped up overnight, um, and within that, rumors about Kyler Murray have also kind of sparked up a little bit too, because some people even trying to tie the two teams together about hey, why don't they just swap and Tua goes to Arizona and then and Kyler Murray goes to uh, the Dolphins, and I'm
Mhm.
like, well, that doesn't really make sense either though. I mean, like it's kind of a lateral move to me. I'm like, so that doesn't make sense. So, and that's probably out the door. So, but what happens with him, especially he gets injured again. This team, under their leadership now, they're not the ones that drafted Kyler Murray. He can't stay on the
Mhm.
field when he's up and down all over the place. And Jacoby Brissett, like I said, he's not the greatest because for me, he's got like a really good straight ball, but he doesn't have any good loft and touch on the ball, and that's what kills Jacoby Brissett. He's not your answer, but he's a better bridge quarterback, I think, right now than keeping Kyler Murray. So I think now you have to invest towards the future. And then what does that mean for Kyler Murray moving forward?
Well, that's the thing is like we already knew this for at least a few weeks now that Kyler Murray's on the outs with Arizona. They've made that decision that they are going to move on from him. He will be available via free agency, most likely. I kind of don't see a trade market for him. I don't think anybody's willing to give up a draft pick, even if it is a seventh rounder, because obviously no one wants that contract either. So um, I think for Kyler Murray, he's a little bit more difficult of a case to make for him to go to another team and start right away, or even have a potential starting spot because of his. It's not his
Mhm.
fault because of his physical limitations. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The guy is one of the shortest quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the shortest guy, and he does struggle to see over his offensive lineman. So unless he gets outside the pocket all the time and or has a clear path or clear view of his target, he struggles with it.
Mhm.
He holds the ball sometimes because he can't see his guys open. So his limitations is another reason why, he's going to become available for somebody. Now, we've seen him have 12 and 4
Mhm.
seasons with the Arizona Cardinals, and that was kind of like in his prime where he was difficult to deal with because of his mobility and whatnot. And now maybe a team might bring him in, probably most likely to be a backup.
Mhm.
To be honest, I don't kind of get the sense that Kyler Murray will get another starting job opportunity because of those limitations, and everybody knows it around the league at this point. So I get it. Guy is super fast. He may be the fastest quarterback in the NFL, but being fast at quarterback, but not being able to make all the throws with touch, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, Jim, or even being limited in your vision
Yeah.
of the field is a
Mhm.
critical
Mhm.
problem to try to overcome. So offenses would literally have to create an offense to get him out of the pocket almost all the
Yeah.
time and or even create pockets or windows through the offensive lineman for him to see. So um, it's a lot to ask for anybody that does in fact take him on. I think uh, I think his best honestly his best fit would probably be behind another mobile
Mhm,
quarterback. Maybe he'd be a backup in Washington or
mhm.
Baltimore, something of that nature to where like you're still going to get paid a little bit of money, but you don't really have to do much or anything, just
Yeah.
practice and if an injury does occur, you go out there and you play. So, we'll see with Kyler Murray, but I don't expect too much interest even when
Yeah,
he is
and I've even
available.
heard in recent rumors here from Bleacher Report that, um, the Minnesota Vikings have come up because a lot of people are concerned about JJ McCarthy and too, and how he's playing. In the last 2 weeks, it's been okay, but I don't think that's the last 2 weeks is telling everybody, "Hey, now he's a star and here he is." I think it was just opportunity
So
and who
you
he's
shouldn't have
played
got rid of
and
Sam
things.
Darnold.
Yeah. So now they're talking about,
That's what you're
yes,
telling
a
us.
potential trade, and they know that Kyler Murray, if he's traded pre June 1st, it would save the
Mhm.
Cardinals $14.7 million. But again, will the is he a good fit for the Vikings, and does he have a potential to start there? If JJ McCarthy's not playing well, I think absolutely he does, because right now JJ McCarthy doesn't look the best. Doesn't seem like he's getting it. At least that's a backup plan. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, but that's the other thing too is with Kevin O'Connell's offense, you gotta be a
Yeah,
quarterback
yeah.
first,
Hmm.
and they've seen with even with JJ McCarthy, it is his first year being the starter, being the guy, and maybe he'll get better. Like obviously, like it's his first go around as a starter. So we'll see like what Kevin O'Connell thinks. Maybe in the offseason, we'll get some clarity from the Minnesota Vikings on how they envision, JJ McCarthy going forward. But I still think that Kyler Murray in the end is going to be a backup somewhere.
Yep, yep. All right, so we'll follow that when the season starts to wrap up.
Or 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 does out with Tua, in with Kyler with
I
Miami?
don't.
They
Yeah,
love
like speed,
speed.
get that,
They
but
love to they l they love to move the pocket around. They love play action. They like those little option plays. He could be that could be the only fit for Kyler Murray's hopes to possibly start again, I feel like.
But what's tough is Tua was complaining that he could barely see over the line and things too, and what issues he was dealing with. Kyler Murray's going to say have the same issues. Uh, but
But it'll be different because McDaniel's in
mhm,
his creativity, he's gonna have more plays to be able because if you compare Tua's mobility to Kyler's, it's not even
mhm.
close. So maybe there'll be more freedom for Kyler Murray to be more of a running threat in Miami with the creativity that McDaniels can provide. So I think that would be the only destination where he would get a legitimate starting, opportunity. But again, if it's not Miami, then I don't see him going anywhere to
Mhm.
be a starter.
Well, we'll follow that once the season wraps up here. So that's an interesting headline that's popping up right now, and that
Yes,
will
sir.
follow. As the season progresses and as we get into the postseason and off season. But right now, it is the postseason coming up, Joe. Playoff pandemonium. Week to week, it's changing, and I know. Oh
Oh
man,
my
a lot
God.
of a
Hold
lot of these games at the end of the season really matter. You got a lot of divisional rivals facing off against each other.
hold the
So, what's up?
hold the phone, Jim. Hold the phone. We got a
Oh,
new
will you?
know-it-all chiming in, and we have to give, some props,
Yeah.
right? So here we go.
Oh my
Mr.
goodness.
Stephen
It's not
Bogusky.
a new it's
Welcome
not a
back,
new
my
one. It's
brother.
an older OG
Welcome
guy.
back, my bro.
Wow.
Are you guys going to Vegas for the Raiders and
That's
Giants
funny.
game? I know your guys are present.
Nice.
No, we will not be wasting our time in going to see the shit
Yeah,
bowl
I
that
would
is
like
the
to. It
Raiders
would
and
be fun,
Giants.
but it
It'd
would be
be too
expensive. Yeah,
expensive,
I
I'll
know
tell you
that.
that right now.
Yeah,
Can't afford that.
yeah.
That's why
We
we need
do.
more members. We
We
need more
need people
subscribers to
that we
help
need
us
a
out so we
GoFundMe.
can
You guys, yeah. What we
we
should really do is work on our Patreon. We gotta let's get on Patreon. You guys want to support us on Patreon? Let's do that. And that'll help us
uh,
get there.
Steve also says And the Jets are
This
just a
team
circus team.
year to year, right?
Yeah, right. Well, let's just hope for your Jets that it'll be a new year, a new team
Hmm.
entirely,
What
because that's what it's gonna have to be.
it's tough because again, it seems like they haven't tried to build a team again. They tried and grasp at straws, right? And when you talk
Mhm.
about the the players they hit on, like you, Sauce Gardner was a given pretty much, right, Joe? You can't really screw that up. Quentin Williams, who that they had, that was easy for them. And then to get the key positions that they needed, they just kept trying to bring a guy in, bring a guy in. Let's bring this guy in, and it didn't really work. And they have to kind of homegrown players. They got to get these guys. They got to draft for correctly because now even the players that were easy hits, they had to trade away to try and get picks. But how do Jets fans know that the Jets just aren't going to screw it up again in a draft and not hit?
Here's the thing, bottom line, you shouldn't have fired Robert Saleh. Bottom line, Robert Saleh had a really good defense with that same talent at his disposal. Until you decided to just out him, then this team fell apart. It fell apart schematically on the defensive side of the ball because Robert Saleh was ousted. And also, you had the players that were upset about that firing. You just created a bigger disaster for your organization. Now, not only were players were upset, they didn't want to be there anymore. They noticed that the the potential for them to win is gone. So of course, the Jets liquidized their assets and they got some hefty compensation in return. Great. But now it's a complete rebuild again. All over again. You need a quarterback that can get you somewhere other than Justin Fields running the ball half the
Mhm.
time. You need a quarterback that can be able to take the reins, have some come from behind wins when opportunity presents itself. And honestly, you just need a better, well coached team once again. I'm not so sure at this point. I know it's only 1 year, but I'm not so sure it's Aaron Glenn and his staff is up to par either. So that Jets team is going to go through a little bit of the ringer this offseason. I don't know, and they need a lot of things. The offensive line, I feel like they're younger and they're better there. They're okay. They still have Brees Hall, so they got some pieces that are still hanging around that organization. Now they have to rebuild everything else. Defense, wide receivers, you know what I
Right.
mean? They just need everything, quarterback, you name it. So that's a team that will be definitely intently covering in the
Yeah,
offseason for
because it's
sure.
funny if you think back in the days before Salah came, they just had Sam Darnold with Adam Gase. Adam Gase couldn't, get him where he needed to be. Turns out, again, you just didn't have to be Adam Gase to be able to unlock Sam Darnold. And they hire Robert Salah in there, and they go and get Zach Wilson. That didn't really work out so much for them. Go back and forth to different quarterbacks, and then Rodgers, they bring him, change offensive coordinators to fit him, and then Justin Fields now, with the experiment there. So if you
Our
maybe
boy,
kept him around and had the right offensive coordinator, maybe it might have worked for him. Just stuck it out, right?
our boy Steve says, and I was excited for the Giants. Got a quarterback and the running back. Uh, and you know what? They teamed him up, with Tyron
Mm,
Tracy. You have Cam Scatterboo. That was a nice tandem that they had until obviously,
yeah.
unfortunately, Cam got injured, ending his rookie year. Jackson Dart's the real deal. I've been saying it on this podcast even since before the draft even got here. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out in that draft. And thank you, Jackson, for proving me right.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much. I wanted him for my Raiders. I really wanted the Raiders to find a way to get him, and didn't work out for us. But good for the Giants, man. Pulling the trigger, going to get your guy, and now he's looking really well. Now he's still got to work on
Mhm,
some things.
mhm.
We know that. That's he's getting experience now, understanding the NFL, the speed of the game, and all that. But look for Jackson Dart after an off season, a full off season with the organization and the direction that they're headed. Wait for him next year. Telling you right now, he's going to be way better than what he already is.
Absolutely.
Mr. Steve Bogucki has one other thing to say. He says, sorry, the Giants quarterback and the running back. You guys have a decent team for the Giants. I was rooting for you. Well,
I do
Jim
appreciate that,
appreciates
brother.
that, Steve.
I definitely do. That makes
Thanks.
me feel a
Thank
lot
you,
better.
bro.
Yeah, it looks good. It looked good. And yeah, this year's a wash. Dayball's gone. I think Joe Shane should be gone too as well. So again,
Right.
because he's the one that didn't want Jackson Dart, and everybody knows that.
Mhm.
So the guy that did, is gone, and the guy that was supposed to try and help groom him there is no longer there, and now you're left with Mike Kafka,
Right.
and none of the players, they don't respond to him at all. It's not working. And like
Oh
I
my
said
God.
in that rant that I had, I think it was on the Blindside Blitz, our other show on Tuesday nights. I'm
Mhm.
afraid because of what I'm hearing from insiders, Jordan Ronan and such, that they really like Kafka. He's tied to some of their family ties that are part of ownership. And I don't like that
Mhm.
that being that close, because it's one thing, if you're your buddies and stuff like that, but you can't give your buddies the keys to the castle here, when you know that he's
Right.
probably going to have a house party, you know what I'm saying? And let it get out of control. And this is what it seems like Kafka is. So I'd rather them hit the reset again, bring a GM in, and just let's go. You already
Yes.
have the quarterback, like you said. There's not much to do with him. He's got the talent.
Mhm.
He's got everything else. Stay healthy. Don't do the dumb things. And running. So
All right,
we're
Jim.
good. Get
Let's
defensive
get
mind
into
going.
these
So,
playoffs right now.
yep.
So there's some playoff ramifications to go over real quick. We
Yep.
talked about it in last night's show real quick, but just for the know-it-alls out there that
Yeah. Don't
haven't
watch the
heard,
other show.
there's 9 teams that can clinch the playoff spots in week 16. 4 of them don't need any help if they win this week. So those teams are Seattle Seahawks. They got a tough matchup against the Rams, but if they win, they're in, locked in, no worries. And besides them, that's on a Thursday night game, by the way, tomorrow night. So that's going to be a good game to watch for sure. The Eagles can clinch their division on Saturday, by the way. So make sure you get up for Saturday's football. The Eagles play, if they win, they're in. And then the Patriots. Oh boy, the Patriots. They let everybody down. All the Patriots fans are upset. They just gave up a 21-0 lead, and in the end they lose to the Bills. But if the Patriots win on Sunday night, they're in. And then last but not least, a team that we've talked about on the show who we thought could be a dark horse team that could fight their way into the playoffs. Now it looks like they are going to do just that. The 49ers, they win this week on Monday night football, they're in. So there's 4 teams that don't need any help. They have all the control in their hands. They just got to win this week.
Which some of them, they do have a tough task ahead of them. Uh, yeah, as far as the teams that are in right now, the Rams, they're just fighting to keep that number 1 spot and to hold off the Seattle Seahawks. There's one thing that the Seahawks even win to just kind of get in, but this division is so
Mhm.
close, it's still on the line. You know what I mean? So it's still, up for grabs at this point. So, I mean, it's going to be really tight. That's a tough game. I'm wondering how the referees are going to handle what Puka Nacua had said about him in this one. I'm wondering if they kind of go at him, and start throwing some laundry after he had said, yeah, the refs these days are just terrible. They just try to throw flags to get on TV and blah, 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 and this and that. So, yeah.
Well,
Oh,
he's
he's
not
not wrong.
wrong.
But
So,
is it always right
no.
to say the right things out in public and things like that? But we shall see.
When
But
you're a star,
you got to do it,
yes, you can do
right?
whatever the
Like,
hell you want
that's it. That's your
because
podium.
it's
That's your
the little
soapbox.
guys.
Yeah.
It's the little guys that will end up getting fined or canned or moved on from. So if you're a big fish in a small pond like
Mhm.
Puka is, yeah, do whatever you want. Listen, that reminds me. There's another story. So there was I think it was Max Crosby actually. This past week, the Raiders played the Eagles. He wore pink cleats in memory, or not in memory, but in
For his
you know,
cause?
for
Oh,
gratitude
okay.
for his daughter. Like his daughter liked the cleats and whatever, and so he told his daughter that he would wear them for her when he played. The NFL did not want him to wear the cleats. They actually said that you're going to get fined if you wear those cleats. And all they were regular football cleats. They were made by Nike. They just happened to be pink and like something that his daughter likes. So he's like, well, screw that. F the NFL. I'm wearing them. So he did. The NFL didn't want him to wear them. He wore them. He got a sack with them. And then the NFL said, oh, no, you need to take them off now. So after he had his sack, then he ended up changing his cleats because the NFL didn't want him to wear pink cleats or something.
It's the wrong month.
Weird.
Is that it? Is the wrong month? Maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
It could be.
Because I know they're
maybe
like,
that's it.
My cleats, my cleats or something like that, or was.
Yeah. Unless it's not that month.
It might not
anymore.
be that month
so,
anymore.
Now that it's December,
yeah,
we only accept red.
That's what it is.
Cleats.
Yeah, December it changed, so now you can't. So maybe it must be
red, green, and white.
Yeah. So, no, yeah. Their new thing is social justice. So that's what it is. If you don't have social justice cleats on, then you're no good. So,
oh boy.
So when you talk about scenarios, a lot of these teams, it's all on the line. Some of the teams I don't really trust right now for me is Tampa Bay. I'm not trusting on them right now. They're going into the playoffs here, kind of backdooring it, losing on a losing skid against divisional rivals to where that division's still up. So you're not exactly punching your ticket, and you got to win this division to even get in, and you're losing to division rivals that aren't exactly going to be able to make it in even too. So you just kind of ruin it for you. But the Panthers aren't exactly a strong, team either too. They're really, hit and miss. And so whoever comes out of this division and makes the playoff again, I'm thinking they're the weak link in this whole NFC playoff here.
You'd be surprised because all you got to do is make the playoffs. You make the playoffs, it's different. Everything's different. Everybody plays different because it's do or die. Like there's no second chances. So the postseason brings out the best in all teams. I don't care if you're the lowest seed in the damn thing or not. Everybody brings their A game. So let's back up a little bit and just say to everybody in the audience that the eliminated NFC teams right now are the Vikings, Falcons, Saints, Commanders, Cardinals, and Giants. Just to let everybody know, as far as the NFC and what the playoff picture looks right now, pretty much despite the Packers, like you were kind of alluding to, Packers, Lions, they're still fighting it out there. The Panthers, they're still fighting their way, trying to get in the playoffs at the moment. But even if, let's just say, Lions and Panthers win this week, they have Lions have a 55% chance of making the playoffs. The Panthers have a 45% chance of making the playoffs, which is kind of funny because right now the Panthers are tied with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is still, they got the tiebreaker on them still, so they're still above them. If the Buccaneers win this week, that boosts them way up to a 94% chance of making the playoffs. Right now, they are currently the 4th seed because they are division leader. But it's a big week this week for a lot of changes, whether it be seeding or division winners or whatnot. So obviously everybody knows Rams head and tails, they're locked in. They're 100% in. Bears, which is a surprise team this year for a lot of people, they're the 2nd seed right now at 10-4. And if they win this week, they have a 92% chance of locking themselves in. Most likely they're going to be in. The Eagles, they're a 99% chance to make the playoffs right now. They win, they're locked in. We already know that. The Seahawks, they're in the same boat. 100% they win. If they don't win, they're still got 99. Like you're basically saying that these teams are going to make it. They just need one more win and they're going to lock it in. Niners that we talked about earlier in the show. The Niners are the 6th seed currently. They're pretty much going to be locked in. Jim, we kind of called it on the show. This was one of those dark horse teams where they were kind of on the fence, and now they're the 6th seed. They're pretty much going to lock themselves in. They get one more win between now and the end of the season. They're in. The Packers, again, they're going to fight with the Lions. They're going neck and neck. However, the Packers have a game lead. It might be even a 2-game lead. So here's the interesting thing about the Packers is they have a tie.
Yeah.
Now, I am so perplexed on how the NFL views a tie. Is it a good thing, a bad thing? Is it just doesn't mean anything? Like it's just weird because Packers are 9-4-1. The Lions are 8-6. So they have those two extra losses. But what is that tie considered? Is that tie considered a loss? Is it a win? Is it kind of half a win? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like what how does it count? So right now, currently the Packers are the 7th seed. But again, we got a few games left to play. If the Lions start to get on a hot streak this week moving forward, Packers are in danger of losing that division. They could be the ones on the
Mm.
way out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the scenarios that can easily be, happen here in this week is a crucial one when they all start facing each other. So, I
Mhm.
think the expectations out of these teams are really high, and this year out of every year, I don't know, and this is what we've kind of been asking for, parity in the
Parity
league.
in the
Here
league?
it is, because there is
Mhm.
no dominating dynasty showing up. There's no this, that, you know what I
Not
mean?
yet.
Even though, again, we have your marquee
Mhm.
names like the Broncos, the Rams, the Eagles coming back into it, the
Patriots.
Patriots, the 49ers, Packers, known for having championships, franchises that have been there for the test of time. And
Right.
but we have a playoff without Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, we understand that. And the Bills don't look like that top-notch team. You have the Ravens who aren't playing really great either.
They're kind of backing their way in the
Right,
playoffs,
and
aren't
what's
they?
funny is about the Ravens is the Steelers are so weak and I don't trust them either, that out of that
Mhm.
division, the Ravens could kinda creep up into the playoffs through that,
Oh, they're
but
right there.
I again, a team where you looked at them and said, "Hey, this could be the Ravens' year," and they just don't look like the Ravens of old. I think Lamar Jackson's still banged up or something because they just offensively can't get it going. And if you get into the playoffs, you got to be able to compete and you got to be able to put up points here. So if they face some of these teams that are putting up points, there's no shot. I don't see the Ravens
Yeah, the
being what they
Ravens
were.
and Lamar Jackson, we need to see more of vintage Lamar. That's really what has to happen. A guy who, not saying that he looks to run necessarily, but he needs to be aggressive making that decision to take off. Because if you don't see option one, option two, maybe you're getting a little bit more pressure than you'd like, and you see an opening, just take off. Just take off and run because you're a dynamic athlete with the ball in your hands. It's hard to tackle you in the open field. And that's what honestly puts the defenses on their heels. And then you play off of that with play action, handing the ball off to Derrick Henry. Like you have to get back to what was working early on in the year. Look at in the beginning of the year, they looked
Yeah.
like the Ravens. They had the defense was playing really stingy. They had Lamar Jackson running, throwing the football, mixing it up. Derrick Henry looked like, a guy back in his like early, late mid 20s, I should say. Um, but now this is the Ravens team currently is a shell
Mm.
of what they were
Mhm.
from the beginning of the year. Is that just basically the season beating up on the team and now they're just not as healthy entirely? Is it the decision making for Lamar Jackson? Is he are the hits now starting to affect him? You got to wonder that is because is that the reason why he's not being as aggressive like he once was, running with the football and whatnot? He's smart enough to slide and get out of bounds, but sometimes he takes
Yeah.
unnecessary hits and it's not his fault. It just seems to a guy rolls on top of him after he
Yeah.
slides or something. So for the Ravens, we'd like to see them play more like themselves from week 1, 2, 3, and so on. Um, but are we ever gonna see that team this year? That's the thing is I wonder if the hits now are starting to really affect Lamar's, um, ability and thought process on what he should be doing, and maybe that could be the other reason why he isn't running as much, and he's trying to throw the football more because he doesn't wanna take those
Yeah.
unnecessary hits. So, uh very different Ravens team from the beginning to now. I'd like to see them, get back to what
Yeah.
we envision them being. So if they can do that in these next few weeks, maybe they can gain some momentum, win the division, and claim their prize in the playoffs. But again, they have to compete, like you said, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers, to be honest with you, they're an older team, more mature, a lot of veterans there, and they too look like they're kind of like just barely nipping at the bid to kind of overcome and win this division. And
Well,
I think even if they make the playoffs, I feel like they're going to be one and
yeah,
done.
because with some of these teams, it feels like strangely at week 16 that they're still trying to figure out their own identity right now. Like that usually you see that in the beginning of
Mm,
the season, the
yeah.
first couple weeks, they're like, well, they didn't play a lot of preseason games. They're trying to work out the kinks. What are we doing? What are we, And it seems
Mhm,
like now that's why I think part of the question is it's not only that the parity and there's different teams here forming, but we're confused. And not only we're confused, but it seems like they're confused. Like, what are we doing? How are we making mistakes? We're still doing this. What is going on? There's miscommunication. Like, what? The Eagles. The Eagles are a good team. They have good players. It's a lot of the same players. And, oh, well, I don't know what's going on with the offense. I don't know what this is and this and this. And we're going to work through it. How? Why? What is going on? And that's what's crazy and mind boggling, especially with teams like the Steelers, where who they are, who's there. The Ravens, where a lot of the same personnel too as well. They've had some injuries, but since coming back with
mhm,
these guys, some from injuries, not looking the same. But
mhm.
one key for me too is the fact that Derrick Henry, he hasn't been injured, but he doesn't look the same either. He's not running like he was before. He's still a
No,
monster and still does his thing, but he's not,
we've
you know, top of the league running back, Derrick
seen.
Henry that we're used to
Yeah.
seeing. A guy that could put the team on his shoulders. We'll just hand a rock to him. He can let us go whether Lamar's hurt or not, and we just go. And we're not seeing that from the Ravens right now.
But this is where we see variables of Derrick Henry. Beginning of the year, he looked just like the guy the year prior, was killing it. And you also got to think about too this offensive line. They've had their fair shares of injuries. Ronnie Stanley, their left tackle, in and out of the lineup and whatnot. Some of the guys in the interior have missed some time, and it does affect your offensive line, your run blocking, and I'm not seeing that rock solid road grader type of run blocking from this offensive line either. There are spurts of it. We've seen this past week where Derrick Henry looked like he was getting clamped up and being held to short
Mhm.
yardage. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of that game, they opened up a hole. He bursted through it, ran for 25 yards. And then another time, he burst through the hole, made a guy miss, ran for 10 or 15 yards. So we're seeing glimpses of the Derrick Henry that we're used to, but we're not seeing it consistently enough. So that's where I kind of wonder, going back to the injury bug and guys, bodies not holding up. Maybe that's changing how they affect defenses and how they play. So it's just pure speculation at this point, but something has to be wrong with them, and they got to figure that out as soon as this week. They have to somehow find a way to make this offense click, score points, and let their defense
And
capitalize
the
on it.
flip side of that is teams like the Chargers, who they've been riddled with injuries nonstop. The wide receiving core needed to bring in Keenan
Oh,
Allen. Justin Herbert's playing with a broken left hand and winning still. They're playing hard. They're still playing. They didn't have, Amarian Hampton, so they had this guy Vidal, they're running the ball effectively with and mixing up until Hampton comes back. They were still able to push through, and now the Ravens aren't doing anything like that. So if I'm pairing the two together, say it's Ravens Chargers, I'm trusting the Chargers and what they're doing over the what Lamar and what the Ravens are doing right now.
so for the Chargers, to be honest with you, let's say what it is. Like, I don't think it really affects Justin Herbert at all, him playing quarterback, because we've already seen him do it with that bum hand, and it's not his throwing hands. It really doesn't have that much of effect on him because they've done a great job of. He had surgery on it. They've done a great job protecting it in the glove. And we've seen him take some hits. We've seen him go to the ground. He still pops up. He's still good enough to throw the football because it is what it is. Like, it's part of football. He's able to overcome that limited ability. And honestly, the only problem the Chargers have at this point is their O-line. The receivers never really needed to bring Keenan Allen in. They didn't. They brought him in just because, hey, we think he still has something left in the tank. Bring him back to his former team. Why not? Add some more weaponry. But they still have plenty of young weapons that they have at their disposal. And you mentioned the running backs. Like, Kamani Vidal was able to hold down the fort while Marion Hampton healed up. And even though he's back now, the offensive line isn't as up to par. It's not as good, but they're good enough to just run block. Really, like, the pass blocking, I feel like, is where they're kind of a little bit iffy. But the run blocking is still there, so they'll still be able to run the ball and still be able to run their offense. So, I don't really have any major concerns with the Chargers, even though that's part of it, right? You're gonna be going into this offseason, or not offseason, this postseason, with a injury-riddled offensive line. Can you overcome that in the postseason, in the playoffs, when it matters the most? With the teams that aren't going to see the light of day, the teams that are eliminated for the AFC are the Chiefs, Dolphins, Bengals, Jets, Browns, Raiders, and Titans. Looking at what's available for the playoff run for the AFC teams, I got to tell you, there's literally, in my opinion, I think it's locked for the AFC. I think that you have the Broncos that are absolutely officially locked in. You got the Patriots, they're going to be locked in, let's face it. The Jaguars, it's going to happen. I feel like they're going to win that division. And then you got the Steelers, which is the iffy one. The Steelers are the iffy one, Jim, and they are the 4th seed right now because of that division lead. But even if they win this week, it's only a 76% chance they make the playoffs. They know that other teams like the Ravens are nipping at their heels. They're right there in the thick of things. They're only down a game. And if the Ravens continue to, if they win this week, it's a 47% chance, instead of 39. So, that division right there still has yet to be officially claimed. And I feel like the Ravens, if they can get this thing clicking, they are going to be the 4th seed. They are going to get into the playoffs. Chargers pretty much locked in. The Bills, obviously, after they won last week, it kind of really blew open the doors. They're pretty much a lock. And then the Texans, a team that was similar to the Niners in a sense, a team that early on, injury-riddled, offensive line problems. Anybody outside of Nico Collins wasn't really performing at receiver. CJ Stroud went down for quite some time with an injury, so they lost their starting quarterback, but they still stayed afloat. Their defense, they have to be considered the best defense in football right now, honestly. Like, they are really good against the pass. They're really good against the run. They do everything well. And they also create a ton of pressure on quarterbacks. This is a team that's really been leaning heavily on the defense to not only keep them in games, but also, capitalize at the end of games, getting them those wins. So right now they even lose, they're still 94%. They're still, 97% if they win. So in my eyes, the AFC is all done. We're all set. We got the playoff picture. The only thing that can change a little bit here and there, obviously, is seeding. But the Steelers and Ravens, those are the two teams to really watch for. Who's going to win that division?
Absolutely. So I think that brings us to our picks here, because those picks and what we go through in these matchups are really what matters here when we can decide a lot of this stuff. And you got these like Thursday night's game, the Rams in Seattle. Seattle plays hard at home, but lately, again, I talked about it on last night's show, just 6 points in the first half of 3 games, you know what I mean? The last 3 games. So, I mean, not being able to really score efficiently, relying on your kicker. Meanwhile, the Rams, total opposite. I mean, they're, even without, a healthy, Devontae Adams, depending is
Devontae Adams.
Puka Nacua is just crazy out there. You just throw the ball up to him wherever it's going.
He's the man.
He's just nailing it. So
He's the man.
And it's not
He's
just
the
like
man.
you just have him. You got Parkinson's at tight end. I mean, the running backs, the dual threat now too,
Parkinson's
with what they
disease.
are, with Blake Corum getting involved. So the Rams, I think, even though it's going to be a tough game here in Seattle, but Seattle's got to be able to point. They got to score early to be in this game. If it doesn't, the way they are doing now, it could get ugly. So I'm going to go with the Rams on this one here to lock in that number 1 spot here.
I mean, they're already locked. Like, I don't see them going anywhere. Even for the number 1 spot, I don't think there's much competition for there. Like, you got a few games left, but let's be honest. I think the Rams win the majority of it, or even all. What was it? There's 4 games left. 3 games,
depending
3
on
games.
yeah.
So the next 3 games, like I kind of see them winning the next 3 games anyway. And if they miss one, who cares? But honestly, like, this is a Rams team. Like, even if they are without Devontae Adams, who cares? Like, they've done it without him anyway. It's just like kind of like the cherry on top when he got added to the team for them. Puka Nacua is the number 1 receiver on this team, hands down. Like, he is such a difference maker. It's sickening. You see how often Matt Stafford targets him, and he's just a game changer. It's that simple. So, why is this guy not being talked about in the MVP race also? Like, this is another guy who, just because he's not quarterback? Come on. But anyway, the Rams and Seattle Seahawks, this is going to be depending on, they are home, kind of like a tough place to play. The 12s will be out. Seattle Seahawks, this is going to be depending on Sam Darnold. It's that simple. How well does Sam Darnold play in this game? If he plays lights out and brings his A game, Seattle's going to make this one hell of a game to watch. And they are going to be in it, and they might be able to edge the Rams out, because we've seen Rams at times kind of play down to their competition. I mean, I still think about very vividly in my mind, the Panther game drove me nuts. I thought it was a kind of handover win. I'm like, oh, Rams are going to win this game, no problem. Freaking Panthers beat them. They had no right to beat the Rams. So this game is going to be one of the best games, I feel like, this week. Give me the Rams. I think they are the most complete team right now. They're not for nothing, they are a team that should win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, let's see if they can.
I think the only thing that could stop them from winning is weather. Weather has definitely been a thing against the Rams, especially Matthew Stafford. In Seattle, you have an opportunity, but right now I'm looking at the weather report. It's going to be 44 degrees and 20% precipitation. So no snow, no rain, not that cold really. So,
but if you had, I mean, these guys playing the
no, I get that. But again,
up.
last time Matthew Stafford didn't play well with the weather, this season, and also in the postseason last year, same thing. He played terribly. It is a factor with him, especially. You can't count that out.
It's going to. I feel like this game really comes down to Sam Darnold, not so much Stafford. If Sam Darnold doesn't bring,
we know that it's not even his fault altogether either. Too. I mean, he had one open to Jackson Smith and Jigba. They just flat out dropped. But they got to get the running game going. That's what it is. They got to get the running game going. That's what helps with Sam Darnold.
True. But if you don't have a passing game, you're not going to have a running game.
Vice versa. If you don't have a running game, you're not going to have a passing game. You know what I mean? Because then they just this team's just going to pin their ears back and go after Sam Darnold. And he gets flustered just as easy as anybody. So, I mean.
But that's the problem, is that this team hasn't been able to establish the run. That's why they abandoned it so early, because they're down.
They haven't been down. They've been tight with some games, but they don't abandon the run. All right, so let's move on. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Saturday, Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders. They should be able to win this one in Philadelphia here again. Marcus Mariota does all right with this team. Team's not very good, especially defensively. I see a bunch of major moves on defense here, get a little younger again. Washington is at home, but I don't think it matters. I think Philly's got to win this one and take this one. I think they will. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I think Philly doesn't look very good. I mean, Jalen Hurts did not have the best game
Just
last
even
week,
though they
even
blew him
though the
out.
score
Yeah, yeah.
shows something else. I'll tell you this right now. I watched some of that game, and he was missing
Mhm.
some opportunities. So, because they're still not 100% the Philadelphia Eagles, this game kind of leaves it open. I still think the Eagles win this game, but I would not be surprised if Washington steals
Mhm.
it.
So, all right. And next, we've got the Green Bay Packers in Chicago for the Bears. Last time the Packers won 28-21, I think it was. I think that's what it was, 2021 in Green Bay. So now we go here for Chicago. Chicago's got a
Yeah.
good defense as a for turnovers. They're one of the highest ranked turnover
Mhm.
on differentials here. Leads the league in 21 interceptions, but they are overall ranked 24th and give up 345 yards per game. And that's what, Green Bay is hoping for here, that they can kind of run the ball effectively. You're not going to have Christian Watson, looks like, for this game, but that means some of these other guys are going to step up. And I think they can here. I think Chicago's a decent team, but I think their win streak kind of comes to an end here, and Green Bay can come up and pull out the victory here in Chicago, even though it will be tough because Chicago does play hard at home. But I'm going to go with the Packers.
Yeah, this is a Romeo Doubs
Yep.
type of game. This guy who was kind of like almost not like forgotten, but he was kind of getting limited reps. Now, when you had Christian Watson return to the lineup and you had Jaden Reed also
Yep.
returned, you know what I mean? So that kind of put him on the back burner a little bit. And now that Christian Watson goes down, Romeo Doubs is going to get a lot more playing time. And we've seen him have huge games for the Packers. So I'd watch out for him this week. The Packers, they're going to be a little bit different on
Mhm.
defense, obviously. No Micah Parsons. I wonder how they're going to compensate for that. Are they going to utilize a little bit more linebacker blitzes, on that side of the field for him to kind of supplement the pressure a little bit? So it'll be interesting to see the strategy that the Packers use defensively against this Bears team. Honestly, I can't believe I'm gonna do this, but uh, I'm gonna pick the Bears
Mhm.
on this one. Being at home and like you said, Jim, like that defense has been playing lights out. They are one of the best teams with takeaways. And as much as I can't stand Caleb Williams, I gotta give him credit. With Ben Johnson now as the head coach and being creative with Caleb Williams, working with him, developing him, he is playing better. So I'm gonna go with the odds. With the Bears being at home, I think they're gonna be able to pull it off. It will be a Saturday night game, everybody. That's right. NFL's back
I
on
think some
Saturday.
of the arm talent that has is kind of overdone some of the mental mistakes that he does. Because even if you look at some of the big plays,
Mhm,
they could have easily been
mhm.
very poor plays where the ball is just traveling
Oh yeah.
between the defender's hands and happens to get to the
Oh yeah.
receiver. So it's really a lot of good play on
Yeah.
on his receivers to really focus on the ball to
I'll tell
come
you
up
right
with those
now,
catches.
he's got one hell
Yeah,
of zip
yeah,
on that ball.
yeah.
He can
Yep,
really
yep.
sling it. So, and I think that's deceptive to defenses. I feel like normally they can get to that ball where they can
Yep.
bat it away or intercept it or whatnot, but this dude
Yeah.
throws
It's
lasers.
the nail polish. That's what it is, Joe. All right. Next, now
It's got to be
Sunday,
the paint in
December
nails.
21st, we got a bunch of games here. Buffalo and Cleveland. Cleveland at home with Shador Sanders. That's defense is good. Miles Garrett just needs one more, I think, sack to tie the record, right? To tie it, I think it is. One more to
One
tie the
more.
record.
Yes, he
So,
got
yep.
one this past week,
So he's there
and he
again.
needs
Another
one
guy
more
that's
to
overlooked.
tie it.
I feel like he should get, if he doesn't get MVP, he's got to get Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, if you're tying the record, I mean, dude,
Yeah,
come on, staying healthy on a bad
yeah.
team, like, dude, you got to be there. So, Buffalo Bills, they come back and win last week in a tough one. Josh Allen, expect him to try and do the same here in Cleveland. It is going to be a tough defense, so they're going to try to attack him here, trying to get him flustered, kind of contain him though too. The thing is, people pressure, but then they leave that opening for him to run through and get out. They can't allow that to happen here.
Mhm.
Cleveland have any success of winning here, but not really a good team.
Yeah.
So I don't really see an upset happening here. I'm going to ride with the Buffalo Bills on this one. So don't tell Dan.
Yeah, the Bills, after they pulled off that win against the Patriots, I gotta say, I was definitely impressed with the Bills' fortitude and how they fought through that adversity to come back and win, being down by 21 points in the first half. kudos to them. Awesome. That's what you want to see from a team that is trying to not only make the
Yeah.
playoffs but also put a dent in the playoffs. Listen. Obviously, we've said it over and over. It's Josh Allen or nothing. You know what I mean? If he doesn't have a good game, they typically don't win games. So, and James Cook obviously having another stellar year for them as well. The Browns, they got a stingy defense, and they've had a little bit of a spark with Shador as the starting quarterback, Quinshon Judkins being the running back, kind of adding to that physical element on offense. I'm not going to be honest. I'm not going to be surprised if Cleveland wins this one. This seems like one of those games where like the Bills kind of play down to their opponent, and then it's a little bit too late. Cleveland might capitalize in the end, but I still am going to go with the Buffalo Bills on this one.
All right. Next, we got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys. Ooh, this one's interesting. Again, just because the Chargers have been really digging out these games, these tough nail biter, like fight them out type of teams. And Dallas in the last 2 weeks hasn't offensively looked good. And defense is what it is. We kind of already know. We've kind of given a head, tap of the cap to what they've done with getting Quentin Williams and other talent here, and the center on that line, the D line, to kind of improve that.
Yeah.
But the offense hasn't looked the way it has. And that was the key always. The one thing about the defense being a sieve or whatever, that offense was scoring and scoring points and going right down the field, and you're not seeing it the last 2 weeks. George Pickens is just gone. Like, what happened, dude? You know what I mean? Even with CeeDee Lamb, coming back, he's not injured or anything like that after having that, concussion scare, a week or so ago. It's just, there's nothing different. You know what I mean? So what's going on now with this team? They're running the ball effectively. We've got 1,000-yard rusher here and Javonte Williams here. So they need to really press hard if they have any kind of shot of making the playoffs here. And this is basically do or die this week against the Chargers team, to where I think even with the Dallas Cowboys, how they've been, I think they have a chance to win here. So this is going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
And
it is. And we talked about the Chargers before, about the playoff run and everything, and how they're being able to overcome offensive line injuries and whatnot. They play very well. They play solid football. They play good defense. They play time-consuming offense and are able to score points. Cowboys, a little bit different. They're a team that struggled immensely early on. They had a lot of guys injured on the defensive side. They got all those guys back now, so they have a little bit of a spark. I don't think they're going to end up making the playoffs, but they're going to continue to play out this season. Obviously, Jerry Jones made a statement in his presser this week and basically said, we don't play for draft picks. We don't, kind of like lose on purpose just so we can get a higher draft pick, even though we know that we're most likely not making it. So, that these guys are all for it. Dak Prescott, honestly, I feel like this is going to be a good test of wills for both teams. Cowboys, they can at times be this very electrifying on offense and high scoring. The defense has gotten better. Is it going to be good enough to go against these Chargers? That's going to be something to watch for. Can they stop the run? You know what I mean? That's going to be a big indicator of how this game is going to end up. That being said, I think I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys in this one, being home. I know that they love to play spoiler, and I feel like they're going to try to give the Chargers.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys too as well, just because I feel like, again, the Chargers have won those tight games against opponents, and even now the Chiefs team who wasn't very good.
But that's the thing too, Jim, is if the Dallas Cowboys get to an early lead, it's going to be harder for the Chargers to come back.
Exactly.
So we've seen this before, right? Like where we've seen the Chargers kind of get behind a couple scores and they're trying to fight their way back, but that's not what they do. They run the ball down your throat. They physically beat you up and have these long sustaining drives. So it's not in their equation to have to come back and strike fast and often. So we'll see how this game goes. But yeah, I think Dallas might be able to get that lead early. We'll give them trouble.
Next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans seems like, they're starting to come around a little
Can
bit.
they
You know what I
win?
mean? They're coming around a little bit slowly, but it's week 16 now, so it's a bit late. But I mean, you know, you got a rookie quarterback going and stuff like that. They've allowed uh the bleeding kind of to stop. So now Justin Herbert is now tied. I think also Geno Smith might be tied with Cam Ward for 59 sacks now on the in the year now.
Oh,
59 times sacks. So we have 3 players right now with the same amount of sacks. That's crazy. That's what I think what
mhm.
makes the Chargers and what Justin Herbert doing amazing too. 60 times getting sacked and they're still a
Wow.
playoff team potentially somehow. You know what I mean? It's just
I
crazy.
know, right?
All right. So the
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs, even though you've got Gardner Minshew, I mean, this could be a close game just because of that. But I don't think
Yes.
Tennessee
Very
really
close.
upsets the Chiefs in this one. I don't think the Chiefs roll over and die. I don't think that's an Andy Reid type of team. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs on this one. And also, which we didn't really bring up here with some of these losing teams, you want to talk about Mahomes and the players and everything about this team and why they didn't make it. But I think ultimately it has to be with coaching too. How many coaches this year have dealt with injuries, far more injuries than what the Kansas City Chiefs have done with far less talent and still compete and still making a playoff run where the Chiefs haven't. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that Andy Reid's a terrible coach now and all of a sudden things like that, but he's got to take the blame for this season, I think, just as much as some of these other guys do.
I don't know about that. Like, I feel like the personnel that they have isn't as good as it used to be for the Chiefs. Like, they have a better interior offensive line right now. The tackles is kind of where they continue to struggle. Josh Simmons looks like he could be the real deal, but again, this is a guy that was often injured in college, and now we're seeing in his first year getting injured often again. So is he really going to be the long term answer? You know, Juwan Taylor, we know his faulty issues and whatnot with penalties. Um, the team overall, I feel like, is really good on defense. I feel like they're lacking a little bit in offensive firepower. And honestly, like, yeah, you know, Andy Reid will stand up to that podium and he will accept partial blame for how the season unfolded. But again, I don't think it really is coaching. I feel like it's the players. And honestly, this Titans game, gotta be honest, I think Titans have a legitimate shot of winning this game. Gardner Minshew is absolutely terrible. I know that from
Yeah, yeah, I
experience
know, I
watching him
know.
play for the Raiders. And I also watched him
Like
fill in
Mahomes
for
last week.
Patrick
Yeah, yeah,
Mahomes this
yeah.
past week at the end of the
Yeah, yeah.
game, by the way.
Yeah,
Not much
yep,
time left, and he still managed to
yeah,
throw an
yeah.
interception. So I know he was kind of thrown in last second. Maybe that's the reason why he did, but we all have seen him before throw multiple interceptions in games. So that's what's going to probably keep this game close. Now, if the Chiefs struggle to run the football, a lot of pressure is going to be on Minshew to keep the chains moving. And I feel like that's where he's going to end up struggling. So if the Titans, and we know the Titans have gotten better on defense throughout this season. They struggled early on. Now it seems like they're all starting to gel. They're starting to figure things out there. And honestly, the same thing goes with the offense. Cam Ward and this offense, uh, hey, maybe it was the right thing to do firing their head coach because it seems like their offense is starting to
Mhm,
get a little bit of a spark there. You're seeing them kind of
mhm.
starting to stay in the mix of these games. They're at home too, you know, so that's another plus for them. They're not playing in KC. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna take the risk here. I
Might
think I'm
as
gonna go
well
with
at
the
this
Tennessee
point. Yeah,
Titans.
let's do it. All right, next we've got the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints. Saints on a tear right now, right? Now that they're officially out. They're like, now we have to win, right? Uh,
That's right.
but overall, I mean, again, Tyler Shuck is making his mistakes, but he makes some pretty good plays here too to help
He still
to
makes
help
great
them win.
plays. Yep.
Jets, they're
Mhm.
just doing the opposite. They're not making any kind of plays. You know what I mean? And now they're fire Steve Wilkes, defensive coordinator. And it's funny because you got the head coach who is defensive minded too as well. So I mean, I'm sure that was his guy. So a lot of questions going on here with the Jets. They don't have a lot of good players except for Brees Hall at this point here.
And their
Yeah,
offensive line's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah. But the New Orleans Saints, hey man, now that they're even out, they're playing pretty good. They're at home in this one. I'm gonna say the Saints go marching in for another one here.
Yeah, this is a team like the Jets have literally fallen apart.
Mhm,
We talked about it earlier. They are in
mhm.
rebuild mode now. They're
They've
starting
started the
they're breaking
process.
down the
Yep.
foundation. They're going to start to rebuild it on top of the offensive line that they already have in place. A lot of moves are going to be made in this offseason, free agency, draft, you name it. The Saints, they are early on. They were probably one of the
Yeah,
worst
yeah.
teams in football, and they didn't really have an answer at quarterback. Spencer Rattler played. He played okay. He played average, I would say, this season. Sometimes he pulled off a win here and there, but still had his own struggles. And now you get Tyler Shook, who they trust in. They drafted him for a reason to be the future starter, and you're seeing him start to play much better at
Mhm,
the end of the year, which is got to give you some confidence going
mhm,
into next year with him. Maybe you don't have to go dip into that quarterback
mhm.
position again. So maybe you found the guy. You have a younger offensive line in front of him, minus a couple vets that are still there. So you got some pieces. You got Chris Olave, all that. The defense still they're still working on that, trying to get that built up. But I feel like the Saints at home against this Jets team, it's to me, it's an easy pick. It's going to be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Saints.
absolutely. So next we've got the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Giants. The Giants have checked out, man. You can see it. You can see it on the field all over. It was funny too, is you could see it, and everybody knows it because nobody's showing up at the stands either. That the ownership knows it. I was looking at tickets. I can get like tickets to this game for like $40, like towards like the bottom of the field, like really good, really good
Let's
seats. Like
go.
they're cheap, man.
Let's
I'm
go.
telling you, yeah, like $40.
Let's go.
It's nuts. Yeah,
That's awesome.
like dude, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, man.
You
Like they
can't,
know that you're like,
you
yeah,
can't
they
do that
know
in
that
New England.
their team sucks. They got to get people here. So, and you saw the stands were empty there. So, I think the team's checked out again. In Minnesota, they're playing a little better now. JJ McCarthy's, teaming up with Justin Jefferson now. Finally, it seems like they've gotten starting to get a little bit more chemistry. I'm not saying everything's fixed. That
Mhm.
JJ McCarthy's the guy even now too, but they are playing better right
Right.
now. None of these teams have any
Mhm.
skin in the game for the playoffs right now, but overall,
True.
Minnesota way better than the Giants. So I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one.
Minnesota is they're definitely a more solid
Mhm.
roster. I feel like, but with JJ McCarthy, the way he's been playing and his struggles, like, yeesh, it's a little scary. This is one of those things where, like, and have they been really playing better? Like, I mean, I've
No, I
watched
get it.
some of the game
Mhm.
last week, and I did not like what I saw. I When you're not throwing it to your best offensive weapon
He's
hardly at
missing
all,
them too.
there's an
Yeah.
issue. There's a major issue. Jordan Addison should not be a guy having more targets than Justin Jefferson. So, um, that to me is right now all on the quarterback. He's the one throwing the ball. So, um, this Vikings team, the defense, I feel like is a little bit more in
Mhm.
sync for sure. For the Giants, on the other hand, that's the other thing too. Is like this is another team where they're a little bit of a head scratcher. Sometimes they show promise. Sometimes they show some life, and as a Giants fan, I can only imagine it gives you kind of a little bit of a false hope. And then when they play some of these teams that they should win and they fall flat on their face, it's like, dude, what the hell
Mhm.
just happened? So this could be one of those games where it just doesn't make any sense. But I think both these teams lose is over. It could be ending up in a tie on this one. But if I gotta pick a winner, I'm gonna roll the dice and go with the G-men at home.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. This right now has got to be for all the marbles here
This
with this team.
is
The face off. This is
the
the
epic
shot.
matchup.
Yeah. You guys want the division? Here it is. Face
Here it
off
is.
against each other.
That's
Fight.
right.
And who will get the fatality, right? Panthers at home though. So
Yeah, they
Tampa,
are.
they're in man, again, even though they've got players back, they seem a
Mhm.
little just disarray right now.
Dude, it's
And
all
Carolina
Bryce
at
Young.
home is
It's
there.
it's all
I don't
Bryce
know.
Young, dude. Like
No, I hear
if
you
he
there.
plays well, this team thrives on that, and they ball out. Look, they beat the
Mhm.
Rams for God's sakes, and that was
Yeah.
probably Bryce Young's best game he's ever played. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So It's really going to be up to him in this offense and how they can capitalize and move the chains and score points, all that. But it also coincides with the receivers not
Mhm.
fucking dropping the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah, not dropping the ball, yeah.
Like, you got to help your quarterback out. It's not always all his fault, even though the stats say so.
Yeah.
Sometimes these guys just not catching the ball when they should be. So a lot of variables on this team with the Panthers. The Panthers have a very good defense. Unfortunately, they just don't have that offense to kind of team up with it, but they are a young team. They could turn it around maybe next season and be more of a competitive team. Obviously, Bryce Young still needs to develop and get better. It's sad to say at this point in his career, but he's got to make a big leaping step in the right direction. Tampa Bay, again, like you just said, Jim, it's time. The time is now. You got to make it happen right now. If it, Bryce Young, Baker Mayfield,
Baker
bake
Mayfield.
me a cake this week, would you?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
because I'm gonna pick your Buccaneers this week. I need you to throw down in the Thunderdome. You need to bring the heat. You need to distribute the ball. You got Mike Evans. You got Ibuka. You got everybody back. Literally everybody back. The offensive line is healthy again. Bucky Irving in the backfield. No more excuses.
Mhm.
Score points, score them often, and then that way the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense has no way of letting you down in the end.
I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers at this one. Panthers at home has just been almost money at this point, you know what I mean? And that's what they were able to do to the Rams too. They had that potential to beat them, and again, it was a home game. So their record home compared to away is just a lot better. And a Bucks team that again is kind of just like a head scratcher,
Mhm.
just as much as the Panthers are, and I get, but I think Carolina's going to come strong here on this one. They do get to play each other again January 4th at the end of the season. So, but that one's going to be in Tampa. So that's a different story here. And that one potentially could be for all the marbles if it's not even locked up by then. So that would be intriguing if it's not, completely solid at this point. But for
Yo,
the
what's up,
meantime,
Rise Up?
I'm going to go with the Panthers on this one though.
What's up, Rise Up? What's going on, brother?
Hey,
He
what's
said
up, buddy?
Falcons should trade for Joe Burrow. Nope, that's not going to happen.
Not going to
But I
happen.
love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, he
Been
also
watching
says
too much
Kyle Pitts
mainstream TV.
legacy game. You're absolutely right. Rise Up. I got to share a story with you. I
Winners
also
don't use
shared it
drugs.
on last night's show with a
Mm.
Blindside Blitz. But yeah, Kyle Pitts really kind of ruined my fantasy season because even though my team in fantasy scored 149 points, which in my league means pretty much guaranteed win, but because the other guy had Kyle Pitts and he scored 45 points by himself, I ended up losing 179 to 149. All because of Pitts and what he was able to accomplish. Kudos to Kyle Pitts for showing up and showing out for the Falcons fans. But I got to say, he's not on my friend list right now.
No, absolutely not. Uh, and now we've got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins with Quinn Ewers. They don't give. He doesn't give him
No.
a better chance of winning this game. What are you, insane?
No.
Cincinnati Bengals, they come back off of that terrible performance against the Ravens here, where it looked like none of them were enthused at all about playing. Even Joe
Right.
Burrow here, mishap here. So I say they get it right against the Dolphins.
Mhm.
I'm picking Cincinnati in this one.
Yeah, this is pretty easy for me. I already told everybody on this show that I'm not a fan of Quinn Ewers.
No,
He didn't play well in limited fashion. Didn't show me any kind of a spark. This guy's going to have miscues. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to turn the ball over, honestly,
yeah,
even against one of the worst defenses in Cincinnati. So, and this is a Bengals defense that is, in fact, playing a little bit better, at least, than they were early on in the year. Joe Burrow is going to capitalize on this opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to rack up the points against this team. They're going to have to play from behind. It's going to lead to more mistakes for Quinn. Yeah, give me the Bengals all the way.
yeah. I don't think he's going to be scared of this defense at all. It's going to be different than what like Pittsburgh was facing.
He goes,
before, so.
Rise Up goes, it's okay. I had Kyle Pitts and Trey McBride starting and still lost this
Oh,
week. No
man,
way.
dude.
No
How?
way, dude.
Oh my
You
goodness.
had both tight ends and Trey McBride went off and Kyle Pitts went through the moon and you still lost, dude? What happened? There's no way.
Oh, man.
That's
That is a mystery.
crazy.
Yeah, it must have. I wonder who he had at quarterback or whatever. Just have laid an egg.
Forget quarterback. What was
But
your
somebody,
running backs and wide
something,
receivers?
somebody do something. I mean, he went with 2 tight ends. So I don't know. He's weak somewhere. Jacksonville and Denver. Ooh, this is going to be a good matchup. See, this will be now
Listen,
the
it's what
litmus
we
test
talked about.
for Jacksonville, right? Just
Mhm.
because that's the first time I said that this episode. Jacksonville, they are on a winning streak. Defense is a top 10 defense. Trevor Lawrence playing really good lately. Again, his turnover to interception to touchdown ratio is 9 touchdowns, 0 picks in the last couple weeks. But this is a good defense. So this could be the solidifier here. Run the ball effectively, ETN, and then try and see if he can just run out some play action, make some plays with his legs. That's the key. We talked about that for weeks now. That seems like that's the formula, what's working for him also. So I think you're going to see both these quarterbacks kind of scrambling around and making plays with both their legs. I think we're going to see an exciting game with these quarterbacks kind of scrambling a bit more in this one. So that being said, though, man, I might tip it to Denver on this one just because they're home. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville wins this one. I really
Rise
would.
Up says, because Justin Jefferson sold my ass.
Oh.
That's what he did. Yeah, dude, he's not getting the opportunities
no.
that he was supposed to get. It's absolutely insane. Doesn't make any sense. That's why JJ McCarthy should go kick rocks.
Dude, he
also
missed him
says
so many times.
he also says, and Brandon Aubrey misses 2 50-plus yard field goals.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't pick on Brandon now. He's been rock solid all year.
You got to make
Best
those.
kicker in fantasy. He's due to have a little bit of a letdown. But hey, you know what? I'm more astonished that you had Pitts and Trey McBride in the lineup. And see, that's the thing, is it was a little deceptive, right? Everybody took Justin Jefferson early, but nobody really took account into JJ McCarthy at quarterback. Maybe some people forgot, honestly. Maybe they forgot that McCarthy was going to be the starter. But to say the least,
can't blame you for putting Brandon Aubrey in. Again, usually he's money in that, and something's weird. Like, because, dude, it's one thing if you're kicking and there's some wind and you're trying to figure out the trajectory and what it was, a fight the wind. You were in Dallas. There's literally no wind, and he just shanked it wide right, like not even close. So it's so weird.
I'm curious, Rise Up, for next year. If you have a chance to draft Justin Jefferson, what round are you taking him then? You know, he said he lost by 0.10 points. Oh my God, that's the worst.
Oh, dude.
That's terrible, bro.
That sucks.
That is
ESPN league probably then, right? It's 0.10. That sounds like ESPN.
Well, no, that's just any league you can customize your point system.
Customize your point system. So yeah, that's crazy.
But anyways, going back to the Jaguars Broncos, again, Jaguars, I got to give them kudos. I didn't think they had it in them this year, having a new head coach, but man, that new head coach has really lit a fire under Trevor Lawrence's ass this year. He's really helped him improve his game, utilizing his legs a lot more often, not being able to be kind of just tunnel visioned in the pocket, stay in the pocket, be a pocket quarterback. He's allowing him more freedom to run the offense, to run himself. So that has opened up doors in this offense. And they pulled off a trade for Jacoby Myers, making them even more dangerous on the offensive side of the ball to coincide with their very solid defense. Broncos, they're a little bit different make of a team. It's very strong defense. Offense is kind of, when they hit their stride like last week with Bo Nix playing the way he did, that's the playoff Broncos right there. If they're able to continue to play like that and get into the playoffs, they're going to be a dangerous team. This is going to be a pivotal matchup for the Jaguars, just to see where Trevor Lawrence and these Jags sit in terms of all these other better teams. Give me the Denver Broncos. I'm going to lean on the defense. And if Bo Nix and this offense plays like they did last week, I think they get another win.
All right. Rise Up also said he had Sam Darnold, so that makes sense too.
But
because of
Sam
what
Darnold's
Seattle's
been really
offense.
solid in fantasy.
But not
He's
last
been
week.
really solid.
Yeah, but not last week though. So I mean
I don't
that's the
know.
difference
I
though.
don't know what his stats were.
So I mean they had all field goals, didn't they?
Yeah,
And
but I
so I
don't know
mean
what he
so I
threw
mean
for
that's
in terms
yeah,
of
I mean
yardage.
yardage are only yardage, but touchdowns are what matter. Jacksonville, we just did that. So Atlanta Falcons, hey, Dirty Birds, his team, the Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one. No, I'm just kidding. Just get a rise out of Dirty Birds, right? Rise up, Dirty Birds. Falcons, I think they're playing better now. I think Bill Rivers, Kirk Cousins is really
Where'd
not
that come
playing
from?
terribly right now. He's not playing terribly right now, but again, they really have to get the ball to Bijan Robinson. There's a big difference when he's running the ball effectively, and they got to run that offense around, and it opens everything up. They had a really good showing last week. I think they continue here against an Arizona team that, again, they're just not it right there. It's a wash this season. Jacoby Brissett can only get you so far. I'm going to go with the Falcons to get the win here.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett had a small stint of games where he was looking like amazing for the
Yeah.
Cardinals, looking like a guy who could maybe turn around the hopes of this Arizona team. Recently, though, he's kind of come right back down to earth in his backup role, trying to play starter, and has been struggling. So, this offense is not stellar. We know their limitations. We know that the defense can play solid football if they have an offense to back them. And right now, they don't have that. The Atlanta Falcons, on the other hand, their defense seems to be getting better and better every week as we get towards the end of the season. You got a couple of rookies that are really showing up and showing out for them, playing really good football. For the offense with Kirk Cousins, it's kind of like a flashback a little bit with Kirk. He looked really good, honestly. So
Mhm.
him distributing that football to Kyle Pitts and everybody in company. I hope to see Drake London return to the lineup this week. That's going to be something to watch for. Um, but also, I gotta say, I, I I I think even though maybe the Falcons fans might want them to lose to maybe get a little higher draft pick at this point, but I think that this team still has fire. I think Bijan is again. Um, he's gonna have his touches. He's gonna have his catches. He's going to play a significant part in this game. Give me the Falcons in this one in the end. Rise Up told you, no, we can't do that. I play Bijan in fantasy.
Oh, yeah, you have
Oh,
to.
dude.
You gotta.
Here's the thing is
That's why I don't do fantasy.
I get it rooting for your players and whatnot, but I'll tell you right now, I am a real football guy over fantasy. Like
Mhm.
the fantasy is going to shake out the way it does no matter what you root for or how you think it's gonna go or whatnot. It's just one of those things. Like, so if Bijan has a good
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
he's gonna have one.
Yeah, money comes and goes, right, Joe? But
If
your
he doesn't
team,
play well, he doesn't.
yeah, that's your team. All right, so let's move on to the Las Vegas Raiders and the Houston Texans here at 425. Houston at home, Vegas. We talked about it, Kenny Pickett's getting the start. They, allowing a lot of sacks throughout that offensive line. Just the team's not good right now. Houston's playing really well at home. That defense, CJ Stroud. I mean, everything that kid Marks too and what he's doing too, and as fill in too every now and then.
Oh, he's starting. He's not
Yeah,
filling.
they're doing good right now. So I'm going to go with the Houston Texans on this one. And they could probably move up in spots here with this win.
Well, this is pretty much going to be a guaranteed win. I mean, I've been saying
Yep,
it for weeks
yeah.
now that this is a bye week for whoever
Yeah,
plays the
whoever
Raiders.
plays them. Yeah.
The Raiders just simply not good enough to win football games right now.
That's what'll be
It's a
interesting
coaching
about the
issue.
Giants and Vegas Raiders
It's a
game,
personnel
right?
issue. It's everything with that
Oh, man.
organization right now. The Texans, again, we said that how much they've improved since CJ Stroud came back healthy. This team is starting to gel. They look like the real deal going into the playoffs. They're going to get this win here. Give me the Houston Texans. It's not even that hard to figure out.
All right, we've got a couple good matchups here now. 425, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Detroit Lions. Steelers and Lions. This should be a really interesting game. I think it's going to be a tight one. Detroit, kind of has to show up on this one again at home. You would hope so, but
It's
we've
an
talked about
opportunity.
it's got to be. They have to take this one. Pittsburgh needs it too, but if you give me Pittsburgh in one hand and Detroit
Mhm.
on the other hand and say
Right.
in desperation, who do I trust when they
Yeah.
need it?
Yeah.
It's still tough to decide on that one because they all both don't really show up in that point. But I got to go with Detroit because they can score points. And I don't think Pittsburgh really does as much. They're not one of those
Mhm.
teams that if you face Pittsburgh, you're like, oh man, we got to put up 30 points to beat them. You know what I mean? At least nobody's saying that. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm going to go with the Lions on this one and hope they make this a closer run here to try and squeeze their way into that playoff. Squeeze it out. Get in there, guys. Come on. I'm
Yeah,
rooting
the
for you.
Pittsburgh Steelers haven't really been impressing anybody right now.
Mm-mm.
They've kind of been leaning on the running game to kind of help them generate points. We saw Jalen Warren go off last week, along with Kenneth Gainwell, who has been given a major opportunity in this offense and is running with it literally. So um, I don't know if it's going to be enough because this Steelers team doesn't seem to be that kind of high scoring. You know what I mean? They have Aaron Rodgers, they got DJ Metcalf, like that's all cool and all, but you're not seeing the results every week of putting up some major points and giving a hard time to opposing teams. The Detroit Lions, this is something that they got to have. Like you just said, Jim, like this is a must-win game, obviously for both teams, but I think more for Detroit, where they need to claw their way back into the playoffs, whether that be for wild card or whatnot. So Detroit at home, I'm gonna go with Detroit. I don't like it.
Yes.
I really don't like
I
it.
know.
I don't like Dan Campbell and his offensive play calls. It's not good. It's just not good. So I'm hoping that the players on the field are going to be able to overcome maybe some of the miscues that Dan Campbell has, and get the win from Pittsburgh.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
All right,
got to go,
next.
great stream.
Yep, yep.
Rise up, have a good one, brother. We appreciate you dropping in the comments and everything and joining us. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, Sunday Night Football, New England Patriots in the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens at home. We've talked about the Baltimore Ravens again and how their lackluster play is there. New England, they need to bounce back after giving up that win. I still think looking at New England and how they played, I trusted them more than I do Baltimore, even though
Mhm.
Baltimore does play strong at home. I'm going to side with the Patriots on this one. I just
Yeah.
am, you know what I mean? And that might seal the deal for the Ravens here. I don't know, but I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, this is a brand of football that, Mike Vrabel's been implementing is that
Mhm.
physical power, overcome, be very physical against your opponent, and score points at will, whether it be in the air or on the ground. I don't know if the Ravens can hold up. I just don't know. Like again, we talked about it earlier in the show about how this Ravens offense is a shell of themselves, and even the defense isn't playing up to par as much as um, early on in the year. Let's just say what it is. I don't know what kind of Lamar we're going to see. Are we going to see an aggressive running Lamar who can also throw the ball, or are we going to see a guy who's going to stay in the pocket more than not? Um, Patriots seem to be that team that even though they lost against the Buffalo Bills last week, they seem like a very good team to rebound this week and get a win, pretty much ending the run for the Ravens in the playoff run here. Um, New England is the better team, so give me the Patriots.
All right, finally, Monday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts gave it a run. They brought Philip Rivers out there to try and do something here.
Mhm.
They competed. It was a close game and came down to the wire on that one.
Right?
But I don't think they're going to have that opportunity here against the San Francisco 49ers to where, they've got a really good defense under Robert Saleh. And, that offense seems like they're starting to click now too. And Christian McCaffrey's just silently been doing what he's doing there too. But you've got
Yeah.
your wide receivers healthy back now. Brock Purdy seems like he's getting into a rhythm and they're a real scary team moving forward. And I don't think Indianapolis is going to get in their way on this one. I think they're going to win on this one.
Listen, Philip Rivers and that offense, a 44-year-old quarterback
Yeah.
comes back, and hey, kudos to him last week. Like he
Yeah.
really did make a difference and keep that team in the hunt. basically drove them down the field late in that game.
Yeah.
They kicked the field goal to go ahead, and the defense let them down. It's
Yep.
that simple. Like it wasn't the offense, it wasn't Philip Rivers, it was more about the defense.
Yep.
That is going to be an issue going forward. They've been missing their starting corners for the past couple of weeks. It looks like that trend might continue. Philip Rivers is going to have to outscore the Niners, and I think that's a tall order to ask
is.
from him. Even though the Colts are home and they're going to have their fans behind them, the 49ers are that team. They've been able to come over injury after injury and still get the wins, fight through the loss of Brock Purdy with Mac Jones and what he was able to do. This is a team that's kind of clicking right now. You saw it last week with Purdy. That chemistry is back with his receivers, the running game with Christian McCaffrey, and then this Niners defense capitalizing with Robert Saleh leading them. Niners all day, baby. Niners all day in this one.
Yep, absolutely. So there you go. That's it. That's it for the show this week. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining in. Some new guys, some older veterans too.
Yeah,
Stephen
little
Bugatti
mix.
with us.
Little mix there.
Yeah, man. So it was good seeing everybody out there. It's a shout out to all you know-it-alls, and we appreciate furthering the support of the show too by going to YouTube and hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, which whenever we do go live and post some more content for you guys. We know the playoff picture is heating up. The games are getting tighter here at the end of the season. I'm excited for this playoffs. It's going to be a playoffs without the Chiefs, so I'm excited
for the
about
first
that.
time.
Yes,
It's going to be very different. There's quite a few teams that we didn't see making the playoffs.
Yeah, on my wish list now too. I'm hoping that the Eagles will get bounced, eventually and things like that, and we don't see them in the Super Bowl. Then I could probably be happy with whoever it is, and I can just watch a Super Bowl like, hey, who wins? Who wins? I like those types of Super Bowls where I don't really care. I'm like, hey, let's just watch a good game, because I don't like all that extra stress, but these games are gonna be fun. This season so far has been up and down, injuries, the way these teams are playing. It's like a whole soap opera from week to week. So we love it. We know you guys love it. We appreciate you guys' support, and we will see you guys in the next one.